entire world. It's changed the quilting industry for almost every quilter that is out there today. Westerly Design, when they designed the ruler foot, they dramatically have changed that way quilters are quilting. Long armers have had rulers for a long time, but our domestic quilters were at a disadvantage. We never had those amazing products that could advance our skills. I have so many people say that I can't free motion, that I don't know how to do it, that I'm no good at it. Ruler work is not free motion, it's guided motion. I already know where I'm going, and all I have to focus on is just keeping the foot attached to the ruler until I'm at the end of the line. So it's really a big advancement, helping people to make their quilts as beautiful as they want and really changing the level of skill that our domestic quilters are going to see.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Stacy with Sew Steady, and we are so excited to be here today. This is one of my favorite classes that we are including in the project box. And this was, I don't know, you could tell them how we kind of came up with this class idea, Pam. But this is a class that is really inspired by the spring project box that many of you hopefully have at your fingertips there. And then if you don't have it, then we've got some ways for you to be able to jump in still if that's something you want to do, or you can just enjoy this amazing class today. If you are one of our Spring Blocks members, then this video will be live on the university class that you have access to after we host it live today. The instructions are already there, so we'll just add the video. You'll be ready to roll. So, Pam, I'm going to let you take it away and tell them all about your amazing wine apron class or bottle
My
apron
wine
class.
bottle apron. I'm not sure what we're calling it.
Yeah.
It's a wine bottle apron, and Stacy and I were having a conversation, and she said, "I want something really different. I want someone's doing something with a wine bottle, like a carry bag for a gift bag for a wine bottle." And I said, "Oh, what about a wine bottle apron?" And Stacy was like, "Okay, I love it. I think not really sure what it was." And so then we just developed this, and I used the decorative thread ruler foot because, you want some bling on your wine bottle. And I used well, I'm going to tell you everything that I'm going to use. So that's kind of how it came to be. And then I had to actually borrow a bottle of wine from a friend of mine because I'm not a big wine drinker. So to get the dimensions and everything. So, but no, I think it's fun. It's got a nice little kick to it here and there, and I'm excited to share.
I love it. All right. Well, I'll let you take it away, and then I'll just be in the background to help answer questions or help you if anything comes up.
All righty. So this is the pattern, and it shows the apron. I don't know if you can see, but we're going to see it when it's all done. But this is a wine bottle with a little apron on it, just like you would wear when you're cooking, but only it's just on a wine bottle. And you can put it on like an olive oil bottle if you're not a wine drinker, and decorate it in your kitchen. You could make it with different fabrics for different holidays. I think that would be really fun. The products that you need are listed in the supply list, but basically you need a couple of pieces of fabric, 8.5 by 10 inches. You need batting cut the same. You need the decorative thread ruler foot and decorative thread. You need the applique flower, which came in your kit. This is one that I got. And then you need the button, the little flower button, which goes right in the middle. It looks so pretty. I really, really like it. And then a marking pen or marking chalk, whatever you want to use. And then we're going to use the 2 templates that came in the box. So this is the 3/4 inch feather, Spinifex feathers, and it has a leaf on the side, and we're going to use the leaf. And then there's the feather template that comes with the feather, the finial, and the spine. And we're also going to use the spine. I really like this. Stacy can tell you why I really like this later if she wants to, but that's my favorite. And then we have decorative thread. So this also came in your box. So you don't even have to go get anything, just a couple pieces of fabric and you're good to go. So, and then we're also using Invisifil. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Invisifil. It's invisible thread by Wonderfil, and it's really, really nice thread. Everybody, I have used invisible thread for, oh, I don't know, like over 10 years, like maybe almost 20 years. And it's been like some of it was like fishing line. It was really wiry, and this thread is amazing. My machine needed absolutely nothing done to it to use it. It's the same tension I use for every other thread. It went right in it. The automatic threader recognized it. It was great. So it's a great invisible thread. If you haven't tried it, please do, because you're really going to like it. The first thing that I did was I heavily starched my flower because it's not going to be stitched down. It's only going to be attached in the center with the button. So I just wanted to make sure that it has nice stiffness to it. Also, you don't want it to fray on the ends. So there's that. And then we're going to cut the fabric and the batting. And then we're going to take a strip of fabric. You need a strip of fabric. Now this is cut width of fabric, so I cut the entire width of the fabric. You only need about 30 inches, but I found if I had the whole strip, then I could find pieces that were really good. And you have two options. Okay, let me make sure my iron is still hot. One is press it to the middle and then press in each side. So you get something that looks like that, and then you fold it over. And you can do that. This is a 1 inch width of fabric, so it's 1/4 inches that you're pressing in. I used a bias tape maker, and even though this isn't bias, it works. Okay, so this is the yellow one that normally I would cut my fabric at 1 1/4 inches, but this time it's only cut at 1 inch. So I'm just going to stuff it into my bias tape maker, and I want it to go in straight, and then I have to use a pin to kind of coax it along to get it to come out the other side. So here it is, the other side. And I'm not going to go very far. I'm going to take my iron and I'm going to press it. You want these creases to be really creased, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So you want to spend a little bit of time doing this. And see, it's staying nice and flat, which is what I want. So I just follow it along with my iron. And this is just a really short piece. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. But I wanted to show you how I did it and how I sew this. This is going to end up being the neck piece and the straps that you tie the wine bottle apron onto the wine bottle with. So this is a contrasting color. The fabric for my apron is actually blue, and this is a hot pink because it's spring. And it went with, there's a little touch of pink on my, well, number one, I got a pink button. What were the odds that I would get a pink button? But isn't that great that Pam got the pink button? For those of you that don't know me, I love pink. And there's a little speckle of pink in my hummingbird. So that's why I went with the pink accent. So there's this, and then I'm going to fold it in half. It's really too hot to touch. We're going to let it cool down a little bit. I don't want to burn myself. And then I'm just going to fold it on top of itself. Try not to burn your fingers. When I have problems like that, what I do is I fold it and I just pin it to my board. I'm just taking a straight pin and I'm going straight down into the fabric. And this kind of holds it to get me started. See, that's not even, because this is really small. I mean, it ends up being 1/4 inch. And then I can bring my iron in there. And I can bring my iron in here. And I can take that end pin out and I can put it down here. And go like this. There we go. And now I'm going to put this by the machine because when we go over to the machine, we're going to sew it. and then that becomes our little strip. So you can use bias if you want to. I found that just straight a grain worked out just fine. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is take the pattern, which is on page 6, and you're going to cut this out or copy it onto a piece of cardboard. I found that to be really helpful. And then I cut the cardboard. It's not really cardboard, it's cardstock. I cut this out of the cardstock. Then I laid that on my fabric and I used a marking pen to trace around this shape. This is placement on the inside. This outside is actually the pattern size. Okay, so you're going to take your pattern and you're going to cut 2 pieces of fabric. I use the same color for the front and the back, or the front and the inside, you know, inside, outside, whatever you want to call it, and a piece of batting, and they're all cut the exact same shape. I then took, this is the very top, and I folded it down 1/4 of an inch and pressed. I did the same with the backing piece. Fold it down, okay? Then you want to fold it back up and layer. So you have your piece of batting, your 1 piece of fabric with the right side up, and open it up so that it's like that, even though you have a fold in it. And then the other piece, right sides down. And you kind of want these to match up here, this folded part. They're not going to be against each other. It's just helpful. And then what I did is I just, in the fabric, just to hold it for a little bit, is I put a pin in it. I'm going to have to remove it later, okay? And I'll show you why. Now, after I've sewn my little straps, which I'm going to show you, I'm going to take the 2, hopefully I won't lose the other one. These are cut. I'm going to come up about 4 inches, and you can measure if you want to. It's somewhere below this curve, so kind of when it starts to go straight. And I want to put my piece of tie about 4 inches up. So I'm going to measure 4 inches up, and I'm going to put that there. Okay. I can clip it. I can pin it. I only have 1 clip over here, so we'll clip this side and pin the other. Okay. Then I want this to stay in the middle. Okay. I can either take it out the top, but I have those pinned, so I'm going to take this out the bottom because no, I can't take it out the bottom. I have to take it out the top. Oh, God. Sorry. I want to put it up that way because I'm going to sew along the side here, and I don't want to sew over my tie. Do the same with the other tie. Come up 4 inches. This one we're going to pin. Be very careful. I don't need to pin through everything. I just need to pin through like the fabric. But I want it to be straight on. There we go. Again, this goes up the top. And now I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to pin along here. I just don't want my fabric to shift. We're only going to sew down the sides. And I'm pinning through all layers when I'm doing this. There, I think that's good. Okay. we are ready to go to the machine. So I'm going to move over to the machine and move the camera. That's the most important part because I know you want to see what I'm doing. And let's see. Yay, I moved to the camera or to the sewing machine. So I have bobbin thread in the bobbin, and I also have bobbin thread in the top. And it's because I'm just making seams and I don't need a thick thread. So what I'm going to do, the first thing is take this guy, and I want to make sure I have a stiletto. I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to put him under the foot, and this is why I use more fabric than I need, but I want it to be the piece of fabric, I want it to go all the way under the foot. And this is just a regular straight stitch. And I'm a little too close to the edge, so I'm going to kind of, there we go. I want to sew in the middle. I found if I get too close to the edge, I go off the edge, and that may just be me. But I'm holding it down with my, see how it's moving off to the side here? It's because it's thinner than my feed dogs. So this part I did super slow. I'm speeding it up just a little bit. And here we have one of our ties. So the dimensions to cut the ties are in the pattern, but you cut that 30-inch or 40-inch piece of fabric down to 3 different pieces, 2 ties and 1 neck piece. Okay. So now the next part is to stitch the side seams. Okay. So we want to make sure this is folded up. Remember, we press this down, but we want to make sure it's folded up when we start sewing. So, and we are just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam along the edge. And it's a gentle curve. Now here I want to be careful. I can feel the tie through the fabric. I can take the clip out, but I don't want the tie to move. So I can hold it down with my stiletto and not my finger. I don't want you to sew your finger. And you don't have to back this up and tack it or tack down the stitches or anything like that on the bottom. And then there's our seam. I'm going to do it on the other side. Same thing. I forgot to put my knee lift in my machine. This fabric is really fun. It has speckles of pink, like a really pale pink in it, and blue. There, the pin, I almost missed it and I almost sewed over that. So be careful not to sew over the pin of the tie. This would also make a great hostess gift for somebody. And I was thinking, you know, they make those like bubble baths and they look like wine bottles. That would be a really nice Mother's Day gift. Easy peasy. Now we are going to find my marking pen. I guess I'm going to use this one today. And we want to find the middle here. Okay, so we're just going to fold it in half. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're just going to make a little mark right here. So it's not, it's just a line down the center. Okay. Now we're going to take our spine. And this is the spine that's on the feather template. Okay. I have just, it's just a nice little spine. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the stitching line as a line to make sure that our template is straight. But we want to put this line here. Hoping you can see, there we go. This line on our center line. That will make our hem even. So what we're doing is we're creating an asymmetrical hem, which I think is really fun. And what I'm going to do is take my spacing gauge and I'm going to measure an inch from the bottom of the fabric to the template. Okay, and that's how I know how to do that. Now, can't stitch that with my foot, right? I need my ruler foot. But because we're going to, I don't know what I did that for. Because we're going to use decorative thread, I'm going to use the decorative thread ruler foot. So if you don't have a decorative thread ruler foot, that's a reason to buy this box, because not only do you get a decorative thread ruler foot, it has a plastic insert in it, but they colored them. Look at this, you guys. You can, here, I'll turn this over so you can see. They put color in the bottom of the foot. Mine's purple. So I'm going to put that on my machine, and you may need to make some adjustments because this is not a manufactured, it's a Westerly foot. So depending on the settings on your machine, just make sure that the needle is centered in the foot, okay? And I want to change, I have to change some settings on my machine so that it knows what I'm doing. And the feed dogs are up, everything is good. Okay, so back to here. I'm going to pull my thread on my seam allowance. I'm going to measure this again. And then I'm going to come here. I'm going to lower my foot. I'm going to pull my threads. Did that pull? There it is. I'm going to go kind of back a couple of, ooh, that didn't sound good. Let's start that over. I really hope we don't have to dig into my machine. Oh, really? Everything was perfect. Well, Stacy, if you're there, this would be a good time to answer some questions, seeing as how I just jammed my machine.
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
We had a question about where to get the instructions. And so we did include a QR code in the actual box so people could access the instructions via the the box contents. So that's in there. It's in your little applique kit because you're going to be pulling out some of those flower applique pieces for this project today, and potentially using some of the template views we included. But you can also get access to our blog post about this, where we do kind of detail out the how to create this project on a blog post. So it's not going to be like the true handout instructions like we include in the university class and you have access to in the box, but it does a good job. So I did post a link to the blog post for any of you that maybe don't have access to the box at this time. And then, obviously you'll have it with the university class and all that good stuff. And then right now you're using the amazing 2-inch everything feather. So looks like you're having some fun with that, huh?
Well, I finally figured out what's wrong, so we're good. As long as I know what's wrong, I can fix it.
Exactly. That's definitely the rule. Yeah. So the 2-inch everything feather is kind of a unique template. Where we've created a feather that includes the traditional feather in the 2.5-inch size with a finial. So now you have a traditional finial on that, along with a feather spine. And the feather spine addition was definitely inspired by Pam. She was the one that suggested that. And I was like, that is a brilliant idea, Pam. We have never combined a feather and a spine before, but why shouldn't we?
Exactly.
I love it. And that's what we're really excited about doing with a lot of these boxes is to give you kind of what I would consider everything templates, like a single template that can create a whole design, right? And so you're just going to keep seeing more and more of that as we continue to develop, these fun boxes and kind of release these awesome projects with it, where we want you to be able to do a lot with maybe not as many tools. So looks like you got it all worked out, Pam.
Yeah, we are back in business. So
back in business, guys.
Get my insert on and my. So I've had some people ask me why I have a grid glider and not just a regular ruler glider or whatever the ruler thing is.
Yeah.
I keep this on my machine all the time.
Yeah.
It lives on my machine. It's great for regular sewing. It's slick. Nothing sticks to it. It's just, I use it for everything. So.
I love it.
Okay, we're back in business. Bye, Stacy.
Bye.
Oh, it's always nice to have her around. Okay, so let's get back to business here. I'm going to pull not so close to the edge, and then I'm going to go back and stitch over the edge and see if that maybe helps. Okay, let's see what we got here. That's from before. Okay. Oops. All right. You want these stitches to be pretty close together. Normally, I would not stitch so fast, and I would move faster so that my stitches weren't so close together. But you're going to see in a minute why you want these stitches so close together. I'm going to move this up, again, placing the line on that center line. That's where I stopped, and making sure that my template is an inch away from the bottom. And then I'm just going to continue stitching. When I get to the end, I'm going to come back a couple of stitches just to lock it in there. Think of this as a seam, that with what we just sewed. Think of that as a seam, okay? And now what we're going to do is get out our scissors, which I didn't bring over to the sewing machine, so let me go get my scissors real quick. And we're going to trim off about 1/4 of an inch away, maybe a little bit closer to what we just stitched. And that's what's going to give us our asymmetrical seam. So I'm just cutting along this line. Like I said, a little less than 1/4 of an inch. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go through those stitches, because then you'll have a hole in the bottom of your apron and you don't want that. This is my favorite part almost of the entire apron, was coming up with a way to do an asymmetrical hem with a ruler. And I have some other ideas on other templates that we can do this with. So I'm just kind of trimming off the corners a little bit. And now we can turn it right side out. And you want to make sure, if you have a point turner, a bamboo stick, something that you can get into the bottom. And when you smooth it out and poke it out, just don't poke it too hard. You don't want to rip those stitches. You get this nice hem on here that's super cute and really easy to make. Roll this a little bit. There we go.
Someone just asked a good question.
Yes.
They said, can you use a regular size spine ruler?
The problem with a regular spine ruler is that it's so long that it would be just one curve. But you could if you wanted to. You wouldn't get this double, see this double curve? Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. See that double curve? You wouldn't get that because the ruler's too long. I wonder if what else you could use.
You might be able to use just a portion of it, don't you think?
Yeah, or I think your 4-inch arc would be a better.
Oh, there you go.
Because then you could stitch it to here and then stitch it like that. I think the 4-inch arc would be. Look, I just happen to have my sampler set right here. How many of you keep your sampler set right at your sewing machine? Like,
that's a good question.
Yeah, it is, because I keep my sampler set, a couple of straight rulers, and the connectors, and they're always right next to me. So, except for there's so many of them in this bag that I can't find my 4-inch arc. But that's what I would use if you didn't have these templates. I would use the 4-inch arc and do this with it. So that could possibly work. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Regina also suggested maybe a back-to-back.
Well, that's an interesting idea. I do have another plan for more asymmetrical hems.
Oh. Well, we have Wilhelmina keeps her sampler set next to her sewing machine.
There you go.
I keep mine nearby.
Yeah. I'm just gonna press this real quick. Just
okay.
Hopefully my iron is still a little warm, but instead of moving the camera over here, because I'm just here for like a second.
Yeah.
And now see, I'm done. I just wanted to give it a little pressing.
I don't know if you know this, but your camera went away while you did that.
Oh.
So now you're not on the screen.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm
unplug
gonna show him something. Do you want to go in and come back out, or go out and come back in?
Well, I just want to, did that fix it?
No, I still don't see you. So this is the template that she was using. This is that template that's part of our club boxes for spring. And so we were talking about back to back, and as well as the larger feather spine. All of those you can find right here on our So Steady search function, which is like my favorite new feature of our website because it's so easy to find things because it just starts filling it in for you. Have you noticed that at all, Pam?
No, because it just fills in what I look. It does?
Yeah.
I thought it was just filling in what I looked for. Stacy,
Oh.
none of my cameras are working, so I'm gonna go. I'll be right back.
Okay, see you soon. Okay, so while Pam takes off, I'm going to show you what what I tried to link earlier, which is the actual blog post that we created. So the blog post takes you through the supplies required. It tells you about, the decorative thread foot we use, the applique flowers, and the Wesley Everything feather template. And then we kind of walk you through the step outs on how to create that. So definitely, kind of takes you through each of those processes. And we see Pam, she's back. All right, so I'm going to just post a link to this. Again, this is a blog post, and this is the wine apron project. Okay, excellent. All right, Pam, we'll let you take it back over.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm back. I am now putting my regular foot back on. You just have to switch your feet back and forth a couple of times. Not a lot, just a couple. Okay. Remember when we did this fold here? That makes it easier to fold this in because we want to fold this in and sew it up, and that's going to encase our apron and make it all one piece instead of a couple of pieces. Now, we have this ready to go, but we want to put our neck piece in there. So while I'm folding this, which is so much easier to do when you're not on camera, I'm going to go about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge here and pop my little necktie in, my little neck piece. And then I'm going to pin it. I'm going through that. Then I'm going to pull this around this way. What you don't want to happen is you don't want to twist it, right? You want to make sure it goes in the same way on both sides. So kind of smooth it and then pop it that way. But let's get this little end done. And stick a pin in that. Oops. It moved on me. There we go. Maybe I'll stick one more pin in here because this doesn't. And then I'm just going to top stitch along here. You can use thread that matches your apron if you want to change thread at this time. I didn't really feel that was necessary, so I didn't do it. Okay. So I'm just closing this up So I do want to take a couple of back stitches. And I kind of want to be up higher, but I'm stitching about 1/8 of an inch from the top because this is only folded down 1/4. You could make the top of it a little bit longer and have it fold down 1/2 an inch if you have a problem with folding up, you know, pressing up 1/4 of an inch, which I know is challenging. Lock that in. And there we go. That's all tied up. Let me trim these threads here. There. So not the straightest line, but okay. Now for the fun part. We are going to place our flower on here, and I'm just going to pin it on. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to mark it down here where did my marking pencil go? Oh, it's up at the well, let me find my chalk. I lost my marking pencil. I'll use my chalk. What I want to do is mark the middle and the bottom of the flower, right? So right about here. Like that. That's where the bottom of my flower is. And then I can take this off and hold on to it. I'm going to change out my thread and use my Invisifill, which is the invisible thread. I'm still using bobbin thread in the bobbin. So in your box, you also got, I believe, Deco Bob thread is what it's called.
Oh, Pam, looks like we
What?
lost video again.
Oh no.
I know, and it's been
What's
like a
going
few
on?
minutes.
Uh-oh.
So let's see what we can do.
Do you know where it got lost?
It looks like at about 1:39, which is 4 minutes ago.
Okay, well, I can repeat that.
Okay.
Bye. I'll be right back.
Okay,
I don't know what's going on. I mean, I've got a hard wire connected. It's not like we've lost internet connection because I'm still here. My audio is still working. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just making sure my connections are all really tight.
Okay.
So I will be right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry.
No problem. All right, so Pam is kind of at this process where she's put these two together and she's created this gorgeous little kind of trim style on the apron, and now she's going to start doing the decorative thread quilting. So here she's back. All right. And we're live. Perfect.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what we missed, but I tucked in the necktie and I top stitched along here with my regular sewing thread. You can use thread that matches your apron if you want to. I just use this really light gray thread and it doesn't show up that much. Then I put the flower down and I marked the bottom of the flower. This is going to help me when I do my decorative thread stitching. I want to know where I want it to end up. Okay, so that's basically what I've done. This you stick in and pin it just like you did these guys, and then you close up the top and stitch. So I think that's where we were. I am just now putting my invisible thread in the machine. So like I said, this is Invisifill. And I have bobbin, like the same thread you put in your bobbin for embroidery. It's 60 weight, but you can use the Deco Bob that comes in your box. So you kind of have everything that you need. We are going to use the spine again to stitch out the spine on our apron. So now if you refer to the pattern, which was right where it was, and then I got up to go look for it. If we look at our pattern, we see that it curves a little to the left. So I'm going to take my decorative thread and I'm going to show you how you get it into your foot. So Danelle came up with this brilliant idea of putting your decorative thread on a freestanding thread stand, but I have a vertical holder on my machine for thread, so I just put it on that one, and then it feeds freely. You don't want your decorative thread kind of getting in your way. So I'm going to show you what I've done real quick. I'm afraid to touch my camera. I just want you to see. See over here, I have all these spindles on the side. So this is how my thread is, and then it comes up through there. It doesn't get caught, and it just feeds really nicely. So if you don't have a thread stand, you can also use like a cup, like a heavy coffee cup, and put your thread in the middle of a coffee cup, and then just have it feed out that way. That way you don't have to hold your decorative thread down here while you're sewing, and it's kind of really hard to do that. So, all right, we're going to look at the pattern. Here's our pattern. See how it goes off to the left? So that's what I want to do. I want it to go this way, but I'm going to have to put in my ruler foot again. So I have some changes to make. There we go. Now I've got a 1.3 stitch width with a zigzag stitch. And that is going to, so my stitch, because it's a zigzag stitch, is going to go back and forth. If this was a decorative thread, it's going to go back and forth over the decorative thread, and it's going to hold it in place. If the thread was thicker, you could use just a straight, regular straight stitch. So in your ruler foot, there's information on different settings and things like that, but this works really well for what we're doing. So what I'm doing is I'm coming up like underneath where the flower is going to be sewn down. That's where I'm going to start. And let's see if I can pull the threads. No, I didn't have a hold of the top thread when I went down. So let's try that again. Hold my thread, lower my foot. Oh man, why isn't it picking it up? Sometimes my machine is going, we don't want to do that because you're teaching a class. Why would we make this go smooth? Okay, I'm going to try and rethread my machine because it's not picking up the bobbin. And we know there's bobbin in there because we just saw it. And we just used it. So We're going to try and thread this again. That doesn't even look like it went through. Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. Put this back. And I'm going to show you how to get the decorative thread through your foot. Okay. So we're going to go up a little bit, and this is going to be under the flower. And first thing I'm going to do is pull my bobbin thread up. Then I'm going to lower my foot, and I'm going to lower my needle. Okay. Then I'm going to raise my foot or my needle, and I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to slide it down the front of the needle, and then it's going to slip and go right behind the needle, or right behind, yeah. So I'm behind the needle, I'm holding the thread in my hand, kind of to the side of the foot, the decorative thread. I'm going to go down again, I'm going to go up, and I'm going to raise the foot. And then when I pull the threads, see how it just automatically brings the decorative thread through? So you want the little tail to come all the way out, and then you want this to go towards, this goes off the spool. Okay, so it's the little short end that you pull all the way through. And then if you have slack in your threads, you can pull them at this time and pull them tight. Okay, because sometimes that happens. Then when I start and go left, right, so that it tacks down the decorative thread. I don't pull my threads through my piece, I leave them on top, and I get away with it by tacking them down a bunch of times, right? So, you know, back and forth, okay? Now, I'm going to stitch down to this center point. Okay. When I get to about here, I'm going to stop, and that's where I'm going to put my first leaf in. It's a little bit below center. Okay. Now, if I lay my flower on here, it's kind of helpful. Let me pin it back on, because I don't want my leaf to go under the flower. So this side here is the leaf. It's on the Spinifex template. And I've put stable tape on both sides of this template, on this side. Not on this side, but just on this side. I have stable tape on the top and stable tape on the bottom. Because to make the leaf, you stitch up, you flip the template, and you stitch back down. So you use both sides of the template, okay? So if I stitch, I want to stitch the bottom part first, and then it would end, let's have it end about here. And then, yep, that's going to work. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I don't want to stitch up to here, okay? So, and I've got to move down a little bit because I don't want to go too close to the edge here. I want to give myself a little leeway. So now I'm going to take this thread and I'm going to hold it down with my thumb. And I'm going to stitch towards the thread. I switched and now I'm using my finger because it's easier. You kind of want to move your project a little bit. It's easier and it ensures that your thread's going to get stitched down. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to take some locking stitches, and I do this whenever I change directions with my decorative thread. So if I'm stitching a point, like in like the circles on quilt spinning wheel from the sampler set, when you get into that point, I do the same thing. So I always do this, take a couple of stitches, kind of anchor it. And then I want the needle to end up on the left side, oops, on the left side, Pam, because I'm turning my fabric towards the left. Hope that makes sense. Because it just kind of locks it in there. And then I'm going to turn this. I'm going to get out my, well, I'm going to trim these threads because they're going to bother me. These are the starting threads. I don't need them. We locked that down enough. I'm going to flip my template over and I want to come back to where I started the leaf. So I need my spacing gauge. And I'm going to put the spacing gauge right there. I'm going to come down and I'm going to move it just a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to stitch down here. The thread got under the apron. I didn't like that. And just take your time with the decorative thread until you get comfortable with it and how it works. Let's see if I'm okay. Now I'll go back to my spine, which was about there. Come down. I'm going to come all the way down to here. Take a couple of locking stitches because we're changing direction. Get out my leaf again. And this time I don't have to worry about it because I'm far enough away from up here. So again, I like to do the bottom part of it first. And we're going to come up. Let's see. There's really not enough room to use the entire side of the leaf template. I didn't catch. So what I'm going to do is raise my foot and I'm going to go back. I have to raise my needle too. I'm going to come back a little bit. And I don't know why it didn't catch. I'm going to clip that thread right there. There we go. Did I just, oh, I just unthreaded my machine. We're really having fun today. That's what's great about decorative thread. If you have to go back, it's not a big deal. This Thread's so invisible, it's hard to see. I'm getting it. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now, there we go. I'm about as far as I can go. Take some locking stitches, making sure that the needle goes to the left and the right of the decorative thread. And then I can trim that off. Turn this way, flip my template, and then come back down, spacing gauge to make sure I get to where I started. There we go. When I get to the bottom, I just take a couple of stitches. That locks everything in place. And then I can take my scissors and cut the decorative thread, and it'll stay put. So now all that's left is to trim this behind it. We don't need that. And then we're going to stick this on here. And you guys, I'm really bad at hand sewing, but we're going to move that down. We're going to pin this back on. Try and center the button as best you can. I'm going to use the, you can either use like a decorative, like a really pretty thread, like a pink thread. You could use a white thread. You could use blue thread. That would look pretty on this, right? With the contrasting with the, it would, the button contrast with the apron, and you could use that. But all we're going to do, I'm going to use pink thread, I guess. Change my mind. I like to double my thread, and I'm really bad at threading. So you can't use a, well, I can't use a self-threading needle for something like this because it constantly comes out. So, Stacy, do we have any questions about anything we've done?
Not so far. No, I think people are just kind of enjoying what they're watching here.
I think it's really fun.
I do too.
If I could thread a needle, we would be done.
I think it's a really fun, simple project. To see you make it so quickly, I think it really shows how easily you can create this fun little, and it's a great gift idea. Really, you can do this, and it's so unique. And yeah, I kind of want to go home and make my own wine aprons now.
Well, you know, Mother's Day is coming up.
Oh, good idea.
I got it threaded. That's a miracle. It's that time of year where I need to go to the eye doctor, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to get a new eye prescription like every 2 years. So this is that that visit where I'm going to have to get new glasses. And
Oh,
that's
I
all right.
bit the bullet and I did LASIK a couple of years ago, and I have not regretted it.
I'm afraid to have somebody poke something in my eye, so that's never going to happen.
And mine did have an exciting moment. I'm not going to deny that, but it all worked out.
Now, I will tell you that I tried unsuccessfully to do this with, well, I guess that's where the button's going to go. To
Someone
do
asked,
this
what's the name of the thread you're using?
right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's Isacord embroidery thread, and it just has a little pop of color to it. That's why I'm using it, because it's
Oh,
pink.
perfect. Yeah.
You know, I got the pink button. I know that that wasn't done on purpose, but I can pretend like it was. I'm sure they went, oh, look, a pink button. Let's put that in Pam's box.
And now we have someone that is inspired to use their decorative thread ruler foot. And you know,
Oh,
the other thing to note about your decorative thread ruler foot is that you can use it as a regular ruler foot too, guys.
yeah.
You know, you just got to make sure your needle center, but it essentially acts exactly the same as a regular ruler foot. You just have the opportunity to, you know, use it for decorative thread as well. So you got a backup ruler foot now. And the bonus is that now you can do all kinds of bonus, like extra fun things with this foot.
Yeah. Why is it so hard to sew on a button? Well, I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to. I'm going to end up wasting everybody's time trying to get this stupid button on.
We want to watch how fast Pam can sew a button.
Well, what I was starting to say is I have a button sew on stitch on my machine,
Oh,
right?
you do? So I've seen those. I've never used one before, though. I think
But
you should show us how to use it.
I would on a regular button, but I couldn't. I didn't measure this button. You guys.
Oh, so
So let me.
Regina was actually wanting to know what decorative thread you were using.
It is called. It's in the box.
So it's
It's
the decorative
called.
thread that we included in the box from Wonderfill.
It's called Dazzle, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes, it's called Dazzle. It's the thread that's in the box.
And
Here, let
you
me.
said you really loved that thread, didn't you?
I do. It's really nice, but I also love the invisible thread. It's my most favorite, and I've used like I'm not going to tell the manufacturers that I've used over the years. Um, but
Okay.
invisible thread has its own personality. Like I said, and way back, 20 years ago, it was like fishing line. It was
Yeah.
really wiry and it was hard to use.
Yeah.
Um, this is really easy to use. You guys, I can't get the hold. You know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to
Someone
poke it.
recommended you use a glue dot.
What does a glue dot do?
Maybe to hold the button down so then you're not wiggling it.
Well, that's not the problem is I can't get the needle up through the bottom into the hole.
Oh, too thick?
No. I couldn't find the hole through like when you're trying to put the pin in,
Yeah.
it's kind of that where you can't find
Oh,
the.
it's just been difficult to align. So the box includes the deco thread. So we got a 4-pack of thread in these boxes this time, guys. So you got 4 different thread options. One is the deco bob, which is that the invisible? No, the deco bob is different.
No,
The
no,
invisible was for the top.
yeah, I think the Deco Bob is an 80 weight thread, which is
Yeah.
really thin for the bobbin. Okay, we're just going to pretend like this is on here tight.
Okay. Because we need to see the glamour shot. We need to see it all done.
Okay, so here it's done. Oh, wait. Here, let me do this. Let me go over here and back up my camera. There, see
There
there
we
it's done.
go. Look at the
But
wine apron.
look, you guys, I brought a bottle of wine. So you just flip that over the top, turn it around,
Oh my goodness.
and then, I
How
kind of really
cute
like
is this?
I really like the
Okay,
button.
I'm curious because people are saying they've always wanted to make one of these. So have you guys seen these before? Because I've never seen this before.
Yeah, that's why when I said it out loud, I was like, well, yeah, I could do that. I've seen them. I know what they look like.
Oh, you have seen them. Okay.
So there you
Oh
go.
my goodness. I think it's so adorable.
Oh, we're way too far away.
So you didn't come up with this idea like as a inspiration idea that no one's done before. I thought that this was a Pam original.
No, I,
That's
there's no,
okay. I think you did a great job,
there's no such thing as an original idea.
right?
Yeah. So,
Oh, so someone said they used to make aprons for dish detergent to decorate the kitchen.
oh,
How fun is
my
that?
Dawn bottle. I finally have something I can put this on.
Put that on the Dawn bottle.
I'm so excited. That's a really good idea. I want to thank the person who came up with that one.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. That is so fun. But yes, this is going to be a great hostess gift, something that you can take and share with someone. Or, like you said, a really fun little Mother's Day gift for the mothers in your life that you love. I think we should all go home and make a little, now we can call it a soap bottle apron.
We'll just call it a bottle apron.
A bottle apron. I love it.
Oh, you know what else? I have I know a lot of you do too, have a spray bottle like with water because I don't put water in my iron. I put it in a spray bottle.
Okay.
You could decorate your starch bottle and your spray bottles in your sewing room. Well, I mean, you
So,
only need 8.5 by 10 inches square rectangles of fabric and batting.
okay.
That's like nothing. Stacy, you could probably find that in your desk.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, a little tie. And if you didn't want to make a tie, you could buy some bias tape and make the ties that way.
There you go. So great. I love this. All right.
Yay.
Well, I'm inspired, Pam. Thank you so much for sharing. And we will look forward to having everyone join us. Again, tomorrow, we've got another great class for you. We're actually going to be diving into quilting out the panel that was included inside of your spring box tomorrow. And Kate's going to be here sharing that quilt design with us. So stay tuned for that, guys. But thank you again, Pam, for your adorable wine apron, bottle apron
Yeah, there you go.
project.
Hey, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll look forward to having you join us here in the future. Look for this video on the Sew Steady University here in the next couple of days. And then in the meantime, you can use this link to watch it. So thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.